Featured Jeff Lee on the xylophone solo, and then we had Lauren and John on the keyboard solo. Next song is one that you recognize, Jump, Jive, and Whip. And then we have tenor sax by Andrea Hawes. And Matt Talley plays the trumpet solo. Okay, we just have one more piece for you. We're going to include the jazz band portion, but now's the time. Who's got the solo? Anybody else? Nope. And we have all enough solo first this time. We have one solo, alto sax, Alex Lefkowitz.
our featuring of our student teacher who's been with us this spring. And he's been splitting his time between the middle school with Mrs. Ciola, working with the middle school bands, and with me in the 5th grade as well. And then coming up to high school with me and working with our concert band. His name is Anthony Miller, and he recently graduated from the University of Akron, and I'm sure he's delighted about that. But the next step is to find a job as a band director. The piece that he's conducting tonight is Sumus Futura, and the meaning of those words are "We are the future." And it's ironic that he would be conducting that, and as I look on to the next generation of band director, I'm really happy to have had a part in his education. He's going to be one of the good ones, and I know that as he goes out in the world, he's going to remember Copley for a long, long time. This is Sumus Futura.
We've had a great day here in Copley today with our music departments. concerned. We have the pleasure and honor of having Mr. James Swearingen spend the day here at Copley. I've known Mr. Swearingen for many, many years. He was teaching in Grove City when I started teaching at Brunswick High School, and just telling him a couple of stories that I remember with him directing at Grove City at that time. And he's written many, many band pieces. And he says he likes it when people say this, but I meant to say it before he even said that today. That one of his jobs as a composer is he wants to make the band sound good. That's what his music does. I've played many numbers over the years. They've appeared on contest lists here in the state of Ohio. This past year, the symphonic band played Into the Joy of Spring, one of his pieces, at contests. And you know, I could go on and on, but I won't. So we're going to keep the program moving tonight. It's with my pleasure that I introduce to you now Mr. James Swearingen.
Excellent music teachers, wonderful staff people here at Copley, but more importantly, some really great people. I'm most humbled by my writing of music. I feel very blessed, and it's a responsibility that I don't take lightly. So when a friend calls and asks me to write a piece of music for them, I try to do the best job that I can. Last spring, I was asked to write a piece for Lancaster City Schools, and when the call came, from Bruce Gerken in Lancaster, I wondered what would be the reason for this piece. One of the pieces that you'll hear tonight later on, and the main reason why we're here tonight is to celebrate the lives of 3 students who were musicians here at Copley School. Another piece that you'll hear tonight, and that I have the privilege of conducting, is a piece that's dedicated to 4 gentlemen who heroically gave of their lives in World War II. So you can imagine that when people call, I'm always wondering what's the cause of the celebration. Could it be the dedication of a new building? What will the story be? In this particular case, Bruce Gerken surprised me and said, Jim, the only thing we want you to do is we want you to write what makes you happy. And this was quite a challenge because usually I don't have the freedom to write just what I want to write. I'm usually writing something for another cause. So the end result of this work was a piece called Make a Joyful Noise, and it was dedicated to the community of Lancaster because I was so impressed with the hardworking spirit of those people. And I can tell you that as I've traveled across the country, and that's one of the privileges of being able to write music for people, is I've been to many different states, and one thing that is always a constant is I'm always impressed with the people of the community where I go. The spirit of America lives across the heartland of the United States. I can remember I went to Buckley, Kansas one time. I don't know if anybody would have ever heard of Buckley, Kansas. And I remember when we pulled up to the gymnasium for the concert, and I was informed that all 700 people of the community would be there that day. And when we got out of the car, I said to the band director, Michael, I said, Michael, you left your keys in the ignition. And he says, well, Jim, we do that at Buckley. And I said, do you leave your keys in the ignition? He said, yeah, and very rarely do we ever lock the door at night. And don't you wish we could do that in every community? So, this first piece that you're going to hear is something that was a privilege for me to write, something that would make me happy, and I wrote this for Lancaster City Schools on behalf of their community. It's called Make a Joyful Noise.
next piece is just up for fun. I'm learning how to use some music notation software and trying to broaden my horizons and not write things by hand. So I took this really great arrangement of making folk songs. It's already published, but there weren't very many percussion parts in it. And we have 13 percussionists back there, and there's a lot of music at our level. It just doesn't have enough for 13 percussionists. So I thought I could arrange that for percussion. So you're going to hear just about everything in the kitchen sink, 4 sets of wind chimes, all sorts of things going on in these next 2 pieces that I selected for our band. But the Jamaican Street here is really for fun tonight, and if you want to get up and dance in the aisles, just go right ahead. It's summertime. You will hear 2 songs within this one movement of Jamaican folk suite. It's the song Destiny, which I'm young enough to remember on the radio when I was a kid. That's also called Yellow Bird. And the song Dada Light, which is the Banana Boat song. And your kids have been playing the Banana Boat song since 5th grade, at least, because it's in our 5th grade handbook. So these go together in this next week. And I think now I've stalled enough for my percussion to get set, so we're about ready. I have to ask that the doors are closed in this piece, because there's some special effects that will be lost if the doors are open. At our level of concert band, it's difficult sometimes to find pieces of music that fit into the modern traditions of music composition. And this next piece has a large section that is aleatoric in nature. This is chance music. In this type of music, the composer gives some sort of graphic or written explanation of what is expected. And then it's up to the performer to produce that. And each and every performance is going to be different. Each band is going to play it differently. Each set of performers will think of it differently, and probably each time they do it, it's a bit different. There are some special effects in this piece that require lighting, and I will warn you that if you are prone to any kind of seizure activity, you might want to step out, only because lights will be on and off and flashing. Otherwise, please keep free and clear in your seats. And this is electricity, 3 movements in 1 long continuous space.
we can shut the door, please, over on this side. Thank you. Well, the second half of or actually the third portion of our concert, I'd like to present to you the symphonic band. And we're going to start out, we're playing 3 Mr. Swearingen tunes tonight, and we're starting with the March of Proud Spirit. One of my all-time favorite Jim Swearingen pieces is Mighty Term. And Mr. Swearingen is going to talk to you now about the meaning behind the piece. It is quite a moving story, and the music represents it so well. So again, I invite up to the podium, and then the director of the band, Mr. James Swearingen.
piece, Light Eternal, was commissioned by the Orville High School Band under the direction of Rob Hennell. And it's surprising to me tonight, when I walked in, I saw my friend Rob Hennell from Orville. So please greet Mr. Hennell here. Welcome. This piece is based on a story. It's a story that I was not familiar with until Mr. Hennell called it to my attention. But it was a real labor of love to write the music and to try to depict the historical facts that took place during World War II. Our story takes place in February of 1943. The USS Dorchester is ready to sail for the North Atlantic. On board this troop transport ship are over 900 men prepared to go to battle in World War II. Included amongst these 900 men or more are 4 men of the cloth, 2 closeted ministers, 1 Catholic priest, and 1 Jewish rabbi. Their main purpose for taking the trip, and volunteering I might add, is to try to help the morale of the troops, which were quite low at that time because on numerous occasions we had tried to send trooper reinforcements over to Europe only to be attacked by German submarines, and many of the ships were sunk at the sea. Unfortunately, in this particular event, the ship was sunk by a torpedo. When it was struck, the ship went down rather quickly, and I would say it probably took no more than 20 minutes. It was in the middle of the night. It was certainly a cold winter night. Men were dazed, men were confused. They were on board trying to get life preservers, life jackets, and eventually they ran out of life jackets. And the story goes that the 4 chaplains volunteered to give away their life jackets so that somebody else might have it. The story goes that the ship was going down. All 4 men held hands jointly and said prayer in their own language to their own faith, but the message was all the same. They said it was one of the greatest acts of heroism ever to take place in history. So I was given the privilege of writing a piece of music that would be a reflection on the lives of these 4 men. You're going to hear many different sections of the piece from the time early on in their life, which was certainly a very joyous time as they grew up and spent time with their families, and eventually they go off and you'll hear the reenactment of the torpedo hitting the ship and the aftermath that takes place. It's based on a hymn, God of Our Fathers, one of the all-time great hymns, and I just hope that you enjoy this piece as much as I did composing this work. Thank you so much.
song has become a tradition. We have many fine seniors in this organization. They're all fine seniors, I should say. And a week from tomorrow, we have a band banquet which will honor our seniors, give them their plaques, and make it a nice evening of celebration for tonight. For the concert, we'd just like to do something a little bit special. And tradition has that as we play this song, they're going to bring a rose out to their parents. So one night fall in love.
take great pride that anytime I step in front of an audience with a microphone, that I usually try to think about what I'm going to say well in advance. And I can only tell you that I've thought about this moment for the last 6 months, and I'm still not sure what I'm going to say. I know that today I've been afforded a status of a celebrity here by Mr. Neidlinger for treating me so nice, making nice remarks about me tonight as a composer, but I would ask that certainly in the next few minutes as you listen to this piece that the focus of the attention should not be on me as a composer, but should be on our students, Aaron Dillon, Billy Hinman, and Jeff Roos. That's the reason why this piece was written. Mr. Neidlinger and Ms. Smith have entrusted me with a great responsibility, and as I told you early in the evening as a composer, I take this responsibility very serious. It's not the first time that I've been asked to write a piece in memory of someone who's passed away. It's a very emotional experience for a composer to do that because oftentimes they don't have a connection with the people who have actually passed away, so they draw on their own experiences of passing members, of family members, to try to feel the deep emotion and the hurt and the pain that probably accompanies anyone who would lose a loved one. So you try to make an emotional connection through music. Music is such a wonderful gift. It soothes the soul. It defines the human spirit, and it allows us that privilege of resolution and sort of letting go and causing us to accentuate the positive of one's life and not dwell on the negative aspect of the unfortunate tragedy of those people who have passed away. When you ask me to write a piece of music, you get a little biased with my personal feelings involved in the piece. I try not to appear to be an overly religious person, but I have my own personal beliefs, my family and I do. And I do believe personally that our journey here, whether it be short or whether long, is just a temporary journey, and that there's a better place that we're all headed for. I think these three young students have arrived at that place, and I think we should find peace and happiness in that thought. Peace, it's a composition, but you know, there are about 32 measures of the piece that is actually an arrangement, because I was deeply moved by a hymn that I heard played one night. It's an old English hymn, and it's just a wonderful hymn. It's in the minor key, which those of you who remember about music theory and music courses, they say if you want to write sad music, write in minor, and if you want to write happy music, you write in major. Well, the hymn is in minor, so it is somewhat sad, but I really find it to be a very uplifting hymn. And then a little trick that we use in composition is when you get to the last chord of the piece, instead of playing a minor chord, you play a major chord, which really gives you a nice feeling. So you're going to hear the hymn in the piece. You're going to hear the students present each student one at a time through the use of solo instruments in the band. I thought it was very important that these students be acknowledged in this piece. Some of the words that I use to describe the music throughout the piece. In the beginning, it says dramatic and intense, certainly to call to attention that a serious event has taken place. Shortly after that opening statement, the music language of the music says reflective. It's a time to think, and it's a time to pause. In the middle of that reflective section, there's a short little section that says triumphant. My wife says I'm the eternal optimist, and I think she's right. I like to believe there's goodness in everything that we do and that everything that happens. So there's a moment of triumph here that I think is a good feeling before it goes back to the reflective part. And then we get into a section of music which is a 6/8 section, and I call it joyous. It's a time to reflect back on all the wonderful things that these students have contributed to our lives. And then in the middle is the hymn, which is probably the most dramatic portion of the piece. And then we go back to the joyous part, and I can tell you that it ends rather triumphant, and you can hear the trumpets ascending. And if you want to use that as a metaphor, go right ahead, because there's a nice joyous ending. Once again, I want to thank Mr. Neidlinger, Mrs. Smith, the band boosters, certainly the parents of the students here tonight for their support and for extending the invitation to give me the privilege and honor to write this piece on behalf of these three wonderful students. And my mission today was not necessarily to come up and hear the piece played for the first time, but we had dinner with these people, And I told my wife, I said, you know, it's been a long project here of not knowing the people who you were writing about. And I want to thank the parents for their willingness to share stories about their sons and daughters that would give me a better insight on the meaning of what this music is all about that you're about to hear tonight. So, thank you, Mr. Medley, and I really appreciate it.
Just like to say now, as we present this is for the Russos, Dylans, and the Inmans, for Aaron, for Jeff, and Billy, as we present in the Angels Hall. being here. I just want to tell you, if you enjoyed hearing it, it was twice as exciting to play it and direct it. So, again, appreciate your support of the music program here. Ask you to be safe going home. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you again for being here.